try to just bring whatever you see in your head to life. It'll all come.
I met Jeron about a year ago. He was the first person to train me when I started working at Trader Joe's. While he showed me around the store, he mentioned that he was a photographer and that he was currently shooting a series on mythological deities. I looked at his pictures after work and I was impressed by his talent. Since then, I've watched as he's expanded his series, and I even took part in one of his shoots. Recently, he did a Norse mythology themed shoot with my close friend Julia. I tagged along and asked him a few questions about his work.
When I was in college, I definitely had a fair share of experiences that sort of were a bit mind and eye-opening. Had an epiphany one day, like joking around with my friends or whatever, like on the topic of like God or something like that, and I was saying like how, we're all children of God, so it's like we each are like a demigod or something in our own sort of way. And from there I kind of bounced around that idea. But I had a friend of mine who she had a very like piercing kind of stare, very green eyes and things like that, so we were like, I got this idea, let me do Medusa and stuff like that, and that sort of was a hit. My favorite ones from then had to probably be Scotty from Norse mythology. That day was like very rainy and wet and kind of gross, and normally those aren't real ideal conditions for like a photo shoot, but I feel like since the goddess I was portraying was sort of like a huntress, like to do with some of these gods and goddesses, because it allows me to like portray them in a more human nature, though they are depicted in these human forms and things like that. But I do think sort of like the roughness of what it takes to be human sort of adds to the charm a bit. I would also like Amaterasu. She is a Japanese sun goddess, and those are pretty nice because I had these like swords or whatever that my dad had when he was in the Marine station in Japan, so he brought those back. He said I could have them when I was older. I finally got them, and then eventually it came around. I think it had the most kind of style to it, in my opinion. I can probably count on two hands about how many times I've actually gotten paid for my photography. I do a lot of more conceptual things, whether it be random people I meet or my friends or something like that. Freelancing has indeed led me to a lot of interesting people and a lot of interesting ventures. And many times where I felt like I was washed, I was out of it, I didn't take a photo for months or anything like that. But it's sort of rewarding in the sense of like, like I said again, I come to meet all these interesting people and I have these experiences, though, just around here in the DMV. You could definitely like try to, show them in a more like a good light or a bad light, some like, with like the Greek gods or whatever. Arguably all terrible, like in terms of like how they operate with humanity and things of that nature. Or you could have something that's a bit more outward, and like you show the good aspects of them, they're righteous, they're strong, they, those that set things in place in the world and things like that.
Go.